Driveline R&D, podcast episode 88. This is Alex Caravan, director of data science. Sipping a water lemon lime because a few of our guests will be underage, and then nursing old Red Bull. What do you mean?
I didn't know that.
Sarcasm?
I didn't know that.
How do you think Siegel is?
I knew Siegel. Siegel's the one I knew, but are there others?
Alfredo, dude.
Oh, really?
That's what I've been asking Ben to take him back to yesterday. Lindley?
Kyle Lindley, Pulse product manager, also drinking a Waterloo lemon lime, same as episodes 87.
And I'm Anthony Brady,
R&D
director of
intern.
sports science, primary host, R&D podcast, Driveline research and drinks. Also drinking the Waterloo. Meet the interns episode.
What's up, Doug? Ethan Siegel, good to have you on.
Meet them again.
Yourself.
Meet them again. Wait, were you on the last? Meet the
I
Interns?
was. Yeah.
But he hasn't been with you, so he's not ready for your hard.
I mean, this is my first Meet the Interns podcast.
Also, it's
Clearly
your
didn't
first
know what age it was.
podcast in the summer, I feel like.
Yeah, that's also probably true. June was a big month of travel, so.
But yeah, Ethan coming back as a data science intern. What's up, man? Good to have you on.
It's good to be here. Way nicer room this time.
Yeah, that's what I'll say. Our setup is a little bit less janky than last time. Did you watch that episode back?
Yeah, I actually don't watch a whole lot of them on video though,
Yeah.
but that one specifically.
Noted.
The
You're one of our go-to audio listeners then?
Yep. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, but this setup looks really nice. So
Do you remember?
serious upgrades.
Did you notice a few? Not you, but a few other interns not really speaking in the mic during the rewatch.
yeah, the audio kind of like cuts in and out. I'll make sure to speak right into
Yeah.
it. as well.
Yeah, make
Yeah.
sure you're close.
Production's a lot more dialed now.
Yeah.
in a good
Didn't
spot.
bring a beverage. That's fine. Gave you a little heads up. Yeah, man. I mean, first off, well, I think we should start off with what I was DMing you about. How is the last season? MIT Beavers. What do we got?
Yeah. So Caravan told me right before I walked in here that I'm gonna have to lie about my 12 walks for 9, but I said I was gonna own that. So yeah, and I also told him I'd own my 13 Ks for 9.
Nice.
So,
There we go. I was gonna
Yeah.
say, what's a K per 9?
yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like dictated my training this off season as well. Been more focused on like command intended zone stuff.
Nice.
Nice.
Good.
That's awesome. Especially coming off I feel like this pro off season was one of our first times like really leaning into that. So
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, seeing like Langen go through that with
Mhm.
Uvula and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it's a good initial contrast too. I mean, some of the stuff you're working on, we talked about in the Vic episode. It's like a little bit more low key, or like what's the term for it? Not black box, but just
on the down.
Black
low.
Ops?
yeah, Black Ops, yeah.
Black
But-
Ops.
but-
dude, it's,
Black Hawk Down dog.
remember the
Black Hawk.
remember where you came from, bro? The R&D Black Ops?
Yeah. I know.
R&D
But
Black
I
Ops.
was gonna I was
like
curious
this.
from an athlete point of view, because you're training and working here, which is sick. What's changed the most between experiences summer to summer?
Yeah, I think this summer, since I'm not doing as much velo, I've spent a little bit less time on the floor when like all the athletes have been there. So it's been more of like an individual focus for me.
Nice.
I noticed like when you're in the middle of velo, it's like 100% a like group thing. Like everybody's hyping you up, you're
cheering,
hyping everybody else up. Command, even pitch design, like you're very much like one-on-one with your trainer more. So
Yeah.
Do you miss that aspect at all?
definitely, yeah, I definitely like know less of the athletes this summer. Even though like I still try to spend time out there and get to know the guys.
What do you think the odds are we could eventually get a culture around where everybody's hyping somebody up for dotting their
It's just
spot?
slow grind.
like, dude, let's go develop a skater. We need 20 inches here. Like,
Yeah.
Oh shit, he hit his spot.
And Lane going like, no, he's gonna have to hit it 6 more times.
Yeah.
Next 8 pitches for him to move on.
Sample
Needs to
size,
stabilize.
That's 5 for 7. He's got one more, guys.
yeah, we need at least 50 pitches of the same pitch.
Yeah. I bet we could do that with like command, gamifying command games, some kind of way.
I mean,
feel
again,
like a
it's
team
slow
thing.
grind.
You
People
just
need to
gotta-
be locked in for a while.
Yeah. I feel like maybe if you made teams, like if you teamed up
Yeah,
with
that's what I was
somehow
thinking.
like weighted teams so they were even, and then you and like a few other guys had to like score good enough on your intended zone stuff. I don't know.
So
Yeah.
like
We
a
can figure something out.
live ABs, like the live ABs ELO score, but
Yeah.
like with command.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
Goddamn right.
I was gonna say. I mean, I think that's one of the things. Jake's in the first podcast appearance, wasn't he telling us some story like that? That's what he was doing in the Reds training camp.
Yeah.
That was part of it.
Like +1 if you nail like the zone.
Bunch of like outcome stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, anytime anytime you put like a leaderboard or some sort of game on the line around athletes, like it does not matter what it is. It'll create like hype, you know?
Oh yeah.
Like it's just like naturally going to happen no matter what. It'd be sick. I think there's a bunch of things we could do.
Yeah.
Jake's at one point was talking about what was like a game where we take like a deck of cards and on them we put a bunch of pitches and like pitch locations, you know? So it's like kind of expanding on it. You know, you have to throw a slider with like at least this much horizontal break or something, and then in this zone location, and see if you can execute it kind of.
I mean, that already sounds hard as fuck. Throw a slider with this much horizontal break.
No, but like you just put it over a threshold.
Yeah.
So it's like
right. Yeah.
Like a slider with like at least 3 inches.
Yeah.
So that it's not like a backed up, cutter or something.
Yeah.
And then it's like put it in that location. So it wouldn't be too hard. Yeah. If you had to like nail down exact ones, that'd be like
throw a slider with 12 inches of horizontal break, negative 3 inches of drop.
Yeah. Within 12 inches of this zone.
And dot it. Like,
What is so when do you go home?
Probably like early to mid-August. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So what's are you gonna try to mix in any more live sessions, or because it's still summer and you have the whole fall, are you gonna still try to do mostly development?
Yeah, I'll definitely jump in on some live sessions later. Probably coming up in a couple of weeks.
Dude, August is coming in fast.
Yeah, I'm excited to get in there and throw strikes.
Let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the intended zones data yet? I remember you telling me you're trying to hold off on it.
We haven't yet. I think I'm getting close though. I ran the numbers on my own yesterday and we have like 44 fastballs and like 37-ish sliders.
Yeah.
So probably hopefully 1 to 2 more sessions and then we look at that.
For your own data?
Yeah, I've been trying to like stay away from
off.
even looking at it at all.
What do you think, what do you think it's going to be miss-wise?
So I'm definitely consistently missing up in a way with my fastball.
With your fastball?
Sliders are probably exactly the opposite. So like down
in
glove side. Yeah. So, yeah.
But which one do you think is like closer, like miss distance-wise on average?
Honestly, probably the slider. I threw a lot of strikes with the slider in the spring as well.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like my go-to like strike pitch actually.
Yeah.
You'd think it'd be the opposite, but yeah. The only problem is like with the miss distances, I think when I miss with my slider, it's like a 40-footer.
Yeah. Yeah.
The mean slider distance might be higher. The median is going to be lower.
Yeah.
That could be elite if that happened.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case for a lot of people.
What's the benefit of not looking at your intended zone stuff? Do you just want to like be surprised, like wow factor at the end of a training block?
Yeah, just mostly just focus on like building enough sample to like look at like reliable data as opposed to just like one session.
Yeah.
But also just like not biasing
Not
any
overreact.
of the any of like the early collection. So
that makes sense. I was just wondering if having some more feedback would help maybe speed up your development on it. Because what are you using for feedback now? Just mostly like visually, just like thinking about the pitch after
a lot of visuals for me. I mean, this is the first probably time in a couple of years that I've focused on like throwing to a target and then like evaluating whether I hit that target or not, just because I was in velo for so long. And I think that alone has helped me develop my command at least a little bit. So yeah, I think it's one of those things where like, for example, with velo, if you try to throw the ball hard, you'll probably throw the ball a little bit harder at least. If you try to throw a ball to a spot over time, you'll probably get better at that.
Oh yeah. So. Yeah, especially if you have the same amount of feedback that you get from velo, where it's like as soon as you throw, you see the number on a radar board and know like, oh, okay, I didn't throw that harder, or I did. And same thing with command. That's why it's so easy without a catcher to just like be okay with 40-foot breaking balls.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because you're not screwing over a catcher that's got to get up and go get that ball or like try to block it, right?
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think most people like maybe on your team or just in your just in college baseball right now, like what do you think to do for command, if anything?
I would say like probably the general thing is just like bullpens. Focusing on like throwing to a spot, like throwing to the glove and then seeing whether you hit the glove or not. I think that's a little bit misleading though, just because like the catcher is always going to try to like frame something. And like you might think that you hit your spot when in reality the catcher framed it like 4 inches. Right? That turns a ball into a strike sometimes. And those are still competitive pitches, but you definitely want to know like right where you're throwing the ball. And that's, using TrackMan for that is a good thing as opposed to like human feedback.
Yeah, for sure. And on the break stuff too, right? Like
Yeah,
catchers are
100%.
more likely to say that was a good pitch if it was in the zone.
Oh, yeah.
Location bias for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, with movement, it's so dependent on location.
Mhm. Yeah.
What about Pulse? Did you end up using that like during the season, or like how'd that go? Monitoring your workload.
Yeah, so I wore Pulse in every game. Like basically every single throw that I made, I had Pulse on.
I didn't know you wore it in the game.
Scott
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a jersey.
Lindley's
No,
about
I
to
was
pass
completely-
over from the blood flow, dude. It's about to
Yeah.
pass fall off the seat.
I had my strap on and a 3/4 sleeve every single time.
Let's go.
And-
So you go 3/4 sleeve over the strap.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, and yeah, that was really cool because I got to see, my workload go up throughout the whole season, and like that was the highest I'd ever seen it while wearing Pulse, and then being able to like diagnose that and like kind of like plan out my throwing for the next couple days after I made an
Yeah.
appearance. So
Going forward too, I feel like one of the big things now that you have some in-game or in-season data, you can have a really good reference for like, what happened here, dude?
What's up?
I just noticed that this bat is super fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways,
I just got mad and started trashing the place.
yeah. Now that you wore it in season, you have that in season like reference. You can say, okay, this is where my like chronic or acute workload, whatever you want to use, was at during like the peak of the season when I was throwing my most. So like going into the next spring, you can have a good like here's the goal that I need to get to probably feel my best and be in mid-season form.
yeah, and I think especially being in more of like a relief role this season, it was really important for me to have that workload data because I wasn't used to being a reliever like in high school and all that stuff. So like being able to like understand where my workload was at like relative to how my arm felt as well
Yeah.
was big because like sometimes I was making an appearance like 2 days after I had come in before, and like being able to like be confident that my arm was gonna be there even if it didn't
Yeah.
feel great warming up
Yeah.
was good.
That's very cool.
Brady's been using Pulse for all his starts and appearances too. And I mean, I don't know if you heard, dude, but this guy's coming off a Grand Forks. What is it? 20K, 50K win.
GFI, yeah.
Give
20K
this a
first
shout out.
place, first place in Grand Forks International.
Hell yeah.
Came home with 20K, so pretty big win for the studs.
Oops.
It's huge. I mean, it was kind of a lame way to win. We the championship
Rained out in eighth.
championship
or
got
sixth.
rained out in the 6th. We were up 1-0, but I think we would have beat them. We would have beat them still, so it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Wait, did you pitch in the last game? I forget if I asked you.
No, so I was warming
You
up.
were ready for the last three?
Yeah, when we went into rain delay, if we would have came out of rain delay, I would have thrown the last 3 because I started the second game of the tournament, and the team that we were playing in the championship was the team that I started against, and I went 6 innings against them. So
And you said you were going to start more this season, right?
Yeah,
you're planning on?
Yeah, the biggest thing was just like focusing on throwing more strikes. So that's what I'm focused on this off season. Hopefully that translates to more strikes next season.
It should be interesting because Brady pretty much did that. I mean, he'd been pitching mostly relief for the studs, and then this season you've already had a couple starts.
yeah, I
And also a
threw
command.
102 pitches yesterday.
Yeah.
Which is, I think the most I've thrown.
Wait, that's what I'm gonna ask you. Yeah.
Yeah.
How was yesterday?
That's why I was so gassed yesterday.
Yeah.
Dude. Threw 102 pitches. It was good. We went 6 innings, 7 punches, I think 1 earned, 3 hits, 1 walk. 1 walk that should have been a backwards K, but I didn't get the call. Pretty pissed about that because I think I was on like up until that point I was on like a 15
no walk.
I think it was like 13 or 14 straight innings without walk.
Yeah.
Or
Maybe
something.
we can
Hell yeah.
cut in divide by 10 for your goals.
Yeah, Ethan
Maybe
Siegel,
1 and 1/3
spring,
inning for no walks.
spring 2023, 0
Yeah.
walks
Yeah.
every 6 innings.
Oh, I hate walks. I hate walks so much now, especially compared to like I'm fine with like little dinkers and hits and stuff.
Just getting deep in the count and spending that many pitches to walk someone.
Yeah. Like yesterday, I went 6 innings on 102 pitches, but I also had to get 4 extra outs because we had a couple errors in the field. It was like raining all day. It was pretty tough.
I mean, you had 6 innings, 84 pitches or something. You told me in Grand Forks.
In
right?
Grand Forks. That was actually the one I was like the stat I like more is 3-ball counts. In Grand Forks, I was in 1 3-ball count, 0 walks. So
Yeah, that's wild.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I know like last spring for me, like even when I was getting my Ks and stuff, I was in so many 3-ball counts, so
Honestly,
many high leverage
dude,
pitches.
that's helped me a lot. Is like I've thought less about like don't walk people, and I try to just avoid 3-ball counts as much as possible. Like even if it's 2-0 and we call slider or something or even fastball, I'm just like fuck it. here it is. You know, like if you hit a 2-0 double, I'm fine with that, or even just like a base hit. Like I'll just try to get ahead on the next guy and go there. Just try to avoid 3-0 as much as possible. I feel like it's pretty easy too. In a lot of counts, I feel like. I don't know. Maybe it's just hitters up here sometimes in this league, but like guys are not looking to ambush 2-0 as much as I think they would be. Like I would assume that guys should be just like dialed in, ready to, ambush a fastball 2-0. But
Yeah, that's what I would think as well.
yeah, I
Do you think they're like
hitters are stupid. They get themselves out so much. That's what I've learned.
That's why I know Brady's fired up on the spot. He's giving all his secrets. Is coming out all hitters.
Do you think
Hitters
it's
fucking suck.
Do you think some of them are just like not confident that if the pitcher, like if they're in that 2-0 and the first two pitches were kind of wild, they're not confident that the pitcher can actually bring it in?
Yeah, I don't know. You can kind of like tell when a guy's looking for a walk. You can just kind of like tell right away. It's weird too because you can read the bench's reaction. It's like something else I've noticed too. Is like if you throw 2 straight balls and the bench starts like getting really rowdy, like trying to get in the pitcher's head or something. I take that and I view that as like, oh, they have no confidence that this guy could like hit off me. So I'm just gonna go right at him, because like your teammates want you to walk now. They don't want you to get a pitch to hit. So
A lot of free command alpha on this podcast.
yeah, that could just be like a totally bullshit like my psyche version of it, but that's how I've looked at a lot of it lately, at least.
Yeah, that's an interesting take on the whole dugout thing.
Yeah. Well, because like we do that. I mean, I do that when I'm in our dugout.
Yeah.
100%. Like, I'll be completely honest. If there's a guy who's got a hole in his bat and like we're aware of it, I see him getting a 2-ball count. I'm like, hell yeah, talk it up. Let's like see if we can get this guy to yip another fastball because like that's a free base for us. Like I'm going to be honest.
And that guy's not getting on.
Yeah, if he gets a good 2-0 fastball right here, like he might miss it. Like I just know what kind of hitter this person is.
Would they get rowdy on the opposite? If it's a really good hitter, it's 2-0. They feel like a middle fastball might be coming.
I feel like you can definitely tell a difference in chatter.
Just level
based on like
better hitters
who's
didn't get a 2-0
excitement of having like a power hitter. And
you're like,
don't
you don't want to give him a pitch to hit here, kind of a thing.
So it's like different chatter.
Gonna get up.
The focuses are like different. Like if you've got a guy at the plate and you're yelling at the pitcher like, yeah, this is not the spot you want to be in. Like, don't give him a good one.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of just tell like, oh, they don't have confidence in you.
Have you guys seen that Chicken Little movie where he just has the tiniest strike zone?
Oh yeah,
the animated Chicken Little. He just comes up like this.
Yeah.
I think we gotta keep it moving to get everyone. But I was gonna say really quickly before we bounce. What are your because I was talking to Alfredo about this. What are your pool rankings after last night? Because me, some of the data science homies, Ethan and Lindley, played pool. Obviously, Vic is best. Obviously, Oz is worse. But talking about the meat of it, me, you, Lindley, Besky, how you ranking those people?
Honestly, after the bet at the end of the night, I have to put Besky first.
That's an impressive close.
Yeah.
Oh, the number of strokes to clear the table.
Yeah. He had a nice 2 for 2 and then almost made his 3rd in a row. That was pretty sick. I'm gonna put myself right after that.
Yeah.
and then I'm going to put you after that. But that's just because I was lining up every shot for you and you kept missing.
Dude.
And then I'll put Lindley.
I was actually gonna put I was thinking of putting you first. I mean, Besky closed out well. But honestly, dude, once you pointed out, I mean, just how fucking bad I was at actually like hitting like just making solid contact. Once you made a smash factor, I don't know if you remember this. I actually did a pretty nice one after that cue. But yeah, Siegel was lining me up well enough to have Vic made like 5 jokes of like Siegel lining up his boss on the pull shots.
And he kept like missing the ball. He was hitting like the side of it. And I was like, we need to up that smash factor on the pool table.
I had a tough performance. But okay, sweet. Thanks, dog.
Cool. Thanks, Ethan. Yeah, thanks for helping
Baylor's next.
Yeah. Okay. You want to send Baylor in here?
Yep.
Meet the interns pod in the roto.
Dude,
this call to the bullpen brought to you by Verizon Wireless.
Driveline Pulse.
Where every call is a good call.
What's up, Doug?
It's good, baby.
No, the pool performance was
Can we
rough.
fix this? Can we fix this? This is really bothering me.
Bro,
we're in the middle of
crunch.
Yeah,
dude.
we're in the middle of
We're on a time crunch.
I know. We can do this.
Fix it by fucking
New
Hitting
guest
cloud
in
there.
the room.
All right, new guest.
Meet
Baylor
the
Fish.
Interns podcast. Baylor Fish, welcome on.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah.
Hit us on a quick background for maybe someone's in this room that don't really know you and or parts of the audience. I mean,
Would have
I
been
know
a
you're
lot
big.
more. Would have been a lot more topical a couple of weeks ago. ECU.
Yeah,
Super. They hosted Super Regional, right?
Yeah, I think it's their
Against Texas,
first super, I think, maybe ever, potentially. I could be wrong. But
and they were hosting.
Yeah, no, that atmosphere, like,
Yeah.
to be honest, I didn't buy, like, Southern baseball atmospheres, being from Iowa,
Yeah,
until, like, you watch it be sold out on, like, a Saturday game against Michigan,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh, okay. Never.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh,
this is different.
It looked awesome. I mean, that Super Regional was also insane.
Did you go
'Cause
back
The
for
games
it?
were just so back and forth.
It was killing me. Like it was one of the reasons like I went there is I wanted to watch the games there because
Yeah.
like I remember watching a couple of their games like last year and just the atmosphere was just like electric and
Yeah.
they get after it there. So
Yeah, they had that whole entire like viewing area behind right field.
the jungle,
Yeah.
jungle, they get after it.
So sick, so sick.
Yeah.
Those games were nuts too because it was like just home runs back and forth, and then Texas had that almost insane comeback. And
It's a
I think
little
game
bit of
one
a
or two.
homer dome, but like because just the fences are so short. But like that play with Texas where they had the two outfielders collide.
Oh,
and
yeah.
the ball gets tossed over the fence for a home run. Like
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
just like almost like a normal thing for the jungle. But
That's wild.
yeah,
That's
no,
wild.
it's a fun experience.
Yeah, so Baylor's here, sports science lab tech intern. Give us a quick rundown where you came here from.
As you said, here for lab tech stuff. Originally from Iowa, Cedar Rapids. Lived there for 23 years. Decided, and then I've split the past year between North Carolina and here.
Nice. You're a grad student at ECU currently,
Yep.
going into your second year in the biomechanics program.
Yep. That is correct.
And go ahead.
Oh no, I was about to ask, what's your favorite state to live in so far?
It's a
I
loaded
mean, obviously
question.
very biased in terms. I mean, very loaded. Yeah. I mean, dude, we didn't hit Siegel with too many curveballs. I hit him with a pool
Yeah,
curveball.
yeah.
But I told every intern I'm gonna hit him with at least one curveball.
Oh God.
But anyways, that
No.
hopefully bought you some time to get a diplomatic answer.
Sorry, Washington Staters. This one's not it.
Okay.
Yo, bring in John.
I'm gonna have to
cut
say
the-
the
cut
home
the
state
tape,
of
cut the
Iowa.
tape.
We just don't get a lot of love in general, so I gotta say Iowa.
Oh wow. Nice.
Yeah.
Love that.
That goes against a lot of feedback I've heard from about Iowa.
Yeah.
Yeah, you would have
I've heard
asked me a
good
year
things,
ago,
yeah.
I would have said
Different strokes, different
anywhere,
folks.
but
That's fine.
And what's your focus at ECU?
like as far as like my research, really trying to get at some deception stuff as far as pitchers, but from the hitting side, like as it does picking up the baseball as far as out of release point, like does that impact some like hitting kinematics and stuff like that?
It's exciting shit.
What have you been working on mostly here? Besides Brady
not
and Ben Jones
breaking-
bossing you around.
Not breaking the lab.
Yeah, I mean, we're still developing, trying to not break anything in the lab. Today's not been a great example of that, but some more of the same stuff. Hoping to get some more eye tracking stuff done while I'm out here.
Yeah.
Nice.
How different would you say that your lab setting at school is to here?
It's very different. Very,
Okay.
very like not even like love ECU, but it's not like they're not comparable.
Yeah.
That lab is probably got about 20 feet of space, like as far as like where you can actually move within while still being visible to the cameras. And that with a bunch of windows, basically takes out anything that isn't hit into a net or thrown into a net.
Yeah.
Whereas here, that's a batting cage. Cameras are outside. You can go live. You can go do whatever you want in that cage, and you're gonna be fine.
What kind of marker set is ECU?
Like the cameras.
No, like how many? Like I'm assuming it's a markered lab.
Yeah, it's so they don't actually dictate like as far as like what marker sets we use. They kind of like let you choose that. So it kind of depends. I know they do a lot of like gate studies up there, so they do a lot of like full body like gate models, which is just like redundant marker sets. But for some of like the more sports angled stuff, they give you pretty much the freedom to choose what you want to do there.
What would you say in terms of frequency and workflow differences
From here to
if
there?
any? Yeah.
The workflow here is definitely a lot more intense, a lot more to get done, but
Yeah.
it's also a lot more streamlined. Like it's a lot easier.
Yeah.
Here, you guys have been doing it for so long that like basically it's hit a button, make sure it runs,
Yeah.
and then go on to the next step. There, it's basically like got to manipulate each trial, got to make sure everything's working, everything's basically done by hand.
Yeah.
Do you guys work with the sports departments at all?
No, not at all. I should only say I can speak for the baseball program. They
Who's
work
that?
with some other ones. We don't get to really work with the baseball program.
Got it. Is that something they're trying to build out, or the coaches just not like it too much for the coaches to implement right now?
There's been like a previous working relationship a little bit, from more as far as I understand. That hasn't been in place for about 4 or 5 years, and I don't think there's been any traction to regain that, unfortunately.
Yeah. I was thinking about this this kind of thing recently about more colleges and coaches like leveraging exercise science or physiology labs and stuff and doing it. But thinking about like the time when, like we went to Auburn or like other places, like college coaching turnover is actually just so crazy that it'd be pretty hard to like, set up a system that's so routine, especially at the upper levels.
Yeah,
Like,
it
coaches
would be
just-
on the lab, right? That's
Coaches
what.
just move around. Yeah,
That's the way Wake is set up, basically.
Well, and that's what's tough about it too, because like if you bring in a coaching staff and let's say they're only there for like 3 or 4 years, that's how long it might take to get a like really solid system figured out. Because like year 1 is probably just exploratory. Year 2 is like an attempt at implementing your first iteration. Year 3, maybe you have a few things figured out, and then all of a sudden you're about to go into year 4, and your pitching coach, now he's going to be some like minor league coordinator, taking a head job at some like D2 or D3. So the college coaching turnover has got to make that a lot harder. Yeah, I guess that's a good point, and that's probably something that Wake does really well. Is having it be more so just like a dedicated lab and like doing it on the lab's behalf. Like Dr. Nicholson does a great job at that. Whereas like,
It's always said behind closed doors. I'm just kidding.
whereas if you have the coaches that are like initiating it, I could see that being a lot tougher to kind of like overcome all that turnover that you have on a regular basis.
Sure.
Yeah.
How many grad students do they have there using the lab?
I believe our incoming class was 6 to 8, plus what we had second year, so probably anywhere from like 10 to 12, I would say.
Got it. Does everybody collect their own dedicated data set for their research, or do some of the students kind of collaborate and just do different analyses on the same set?
Yeah, so basically your first year, they encourage you as much as possible to kind of help those second year students who are collecting their like thesis data like during the school year. So that way you kind of get a little bit experience, kind of a little bit more introduction to like the tech side of things and how collections are actually ran. And then in year 2, you kind of, when it's time to collect your data, you basically have the first years and then any other like undergraduate students that find your stuff interesting.
Nice.
Nice.
What other sports are they working with?
I know they've done some stuff with like track and field.
Driveline track.
Yeah.
Engelbrecht. Driveline.baseball.com. Check it out, coaches.
I think that might be it.
And then
Maybe soccer.
one other question: are you guys implementing any other technology that you're able to like pair with motion capture?
Yeah, they do some like EMG. They've tried to, they do some EMG stuff
Nice.
as far as they pair some of that data. I think that's more of like on the dance side. They've done a lot of dance
Oh,
research.
that's very cool.
Yeah, some of those, I've listened to some of the people present. They've been pretty interesting, but
What are findings? Trying to become a better dancer.
that's a loaded question. That's way above
Become a
my pay grade.
more effective dancer.
Hopefully when they hand me my master's degree, I'll be able to answer that question.
Bring 'em
And
back.
you'll be a better dancer for
Exactly.
it.
I'm
Inspire.
hoping
back
to
to
improve
that.
my dance skills there.
That's
fair.
awesome.
Okay, who do we got next?
Oh shit.
We got to keep it rotating. What actually real quick, what was your didn't you but in between undergrad and grad school, you did some coaching at some point, right?
So actually, that was all during undergrad because
Okay, that's what
So
it
I
was.
went to undergrad in the same city like I grew up in. And my dad's been a high school baseball coach for about it seems like 95 years going on.
Yeah.
So I did like 4 years while I was an undergrad of coaching, and then moved to North Carolina. So that got kiboshed.
Nice.
But,
Yeah. Yeah. And that was like, I remember you talking about you had heard of Driveline at that point in time.
Yeah. So actually, one of your guys' former employees used to be my GA. He came out here while I was still in undergrad, Chico Lizarraga.
Oh yeah.
So he was out here, so I kind of heard about it a little bit. Because then he came back and was doing some coaching in the same conference like the high school I went to was in. So it's kind of like introduced to it in that way. And then like once you kind of like fall down that rabbit hole, and then like obviously I love science. So like once that door was opened, like there's no shutting it.
You
So,
just kind of go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That's fair. Thanks for coming on, baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let me know about the dancing.
Shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need those insights, dude.
Keep the lab not on fire too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace.
Yeah. All right. And this call to the bullpen for the next round of interns. Wait, who do we have coming on next? Alfredo. Third intern, the Meet the Interns podcast. Brief intermission, which we filled
Good to have you
intermission
back,
time
dude.
with. Oh, thanks. Yeah, great to be back, man.
We were making a
is
primary host of the podcast joke yesterday because you're just always gone.
It wasn't a joke. I just explained it. But what? What's up, baby?
What's going on?
Third intern of the day.
What's
Alfredo
good?
Suarez.
We're just rolling him through.
Yeah, who's also been staying at our house the last couple of days, so he's got a very intimate look at some behind the scenes lifestyle, which feel free not to mention.
This is a Driveline podcast.
Yeah.
So,
To be
No,
fair
I
though,
understand.
no, I actually did show him. The clip when Karen and I chugged the beer on the podcast yesterday. When I was like,
Yeah.
sometimes it gets loose.
There's been some not PG stuff.
But anyway,
we'll save that for when that thing right there says that
stop
it's not
recording.
recording. Yeah,
but
we can talk about those stories then.
yeah. Give yourself a quick intro. Where you're from.
Yeah, my name's Alfredo. I'm an R&D data science intern under Caravan. I'm from Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, and I'm a student at Penn State. I worked this last year as a data analyst for the baseball team. Worked pretty closely with our director of ops and the whole coaching staff. I built with a feature project I worked on was a collaboration between my roommate and I. We built a transfer portal scraper, so the coaching staff could basically just get a bunch of data on many of the players in the transfer portal. But the way we wrote it was pretty interesting. So we used MongoDB on the back end, which gave us the ability to do many sports. So it's very much in the process of like being sold to Penn State athletics, but it's got its own story to go with it. So I don't know. It was a really cool project and learned a ton by doing it, and showed that to
Especially right
him.
now, that is huge right now because all the
transfer portal,
the transfer rules since they've changed. The
Yeah,
transfer portal is
so-
fucking insane.
So a couple of years ago, the totals like on any given year were south of like 10,000 athletes.
Yeah.
But it's been rising so much. I think it's on pace to, well, it's obviously going to be the highest it's ever been, but over the last 2 years, it's like north of 25,000
Oh my
athletes in a
gosh.
year, which
Yeah.
is ridiculous.
And
Which
it's just going to keep getting worse and worse too.
Which sport has the most transfers?
Oh,
in
football.
the portal?
Yeah.
Football?
Not even close. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's just a roster size thing because
Yeah.
all the programs
Maybe
get
90.
85, 90 athletes,
Yeah.
something like that.
So what's the strategy for an athlete then? Do you go to the transfer portal even if you don't, like, I don't know how that works. Do you
Well,
have to
now-
leave the team if you
Well,
are a part of the portal?
Previously D1 to D1, you had to sit out a year, and you don't have to
Yeah. But
currently. You don't have to sit out a year now.
no, you can enter the portal and withdraw, and there won't be any penalty.
Got it.
And the way it works, you can like enter your name in the portal, but if you actually like, if you're the coach for a particular team, you can't see athletes from your own school.
Yeah.
So if one of your guys enters the portal, he doesn't have to tell you if he doesn't want to, and you can withdraw if you'd like.
Got
So
it. So you're a little protected.
a little bit, yeah. It's not a perfect system,
Yeah.
but it works at the moment. Something's gonna have to change. That's a lot of athletes to
Yeah.
have at 25,000.
For sure.
It's crazy too. I mean, I am fully on board with anything that like puts more power and like autonomy in the athlete's control, because I think historically it has been pretty like one-sided, you know. So like, yeah, I'm down with them. Like the new NLI stuff, ability to get paid, you know, ability to transfer, because that has always been, I think Tom House had a tweet about that, like throwing shade at it recently, because a lot of coaches right now are complaining about the current state of the transfer portal. And he made some comment about how like coaches do that all the time. Like if they get a better opportunity or job, and they'll just like bail on their school, you know, they're not like locked in. They don't have to sit out a year or anything. But it is pretty crazy. Like the collegiate athletics is almost turning into this like farm system or ladder type thing that you can just like climb year to year, you know? So it's just like less and less of a regard for athletics. Also, the conference stuff right now is crazy.
Oh my God, yeah.
The
Conference
Big 12
carousel, dude.
Let's go.
Yeah, the Pac-12 teams are just like going to be dipping left and right. Their travel budgets are going to be ridiculous.
Those flights from State College or Piscataway, New Jersey to Los Angeles, California for an in-conference game is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's so nuts.
You got to hit up your dad for a pilot discount, bro. Alfredo's dad's a pilot.
Oh, really?
For United,
Oh, nice. Wow.
You got a discount to fly out here.
Let's
go.
He's a beast.
That's fire. Yeah, I was listening to who's the Bills quarterback?
Josh Allen?
Josh Allen.
Yeah. I think it was him on a podcast. He was talking about how when he was in college, he didn't end up signing his junior year because he was like, I had a really good relationship with my coach, wanted to go back. I felt like it was right. Kind of going like good guy approach on it. But then the hosts were talking about like, do you think the coach would have done the same thing? Like if they had an opportunity to go like get a better opportunity coaching or whatever, do you think he would be like, nah, my quarterback, me, we have a good relationship. Like I can't do that to him. Can't do that to the program.
Wow.
You just know.
Yeah, I think the actual the rule on transfers now that changes like you get one, right? Like if you do more than that,
one-time transfer, I think just got implemented in the last year, but
Yeah.
don't quote me on that.
I'm pretty sure that's it too.
You're on video, bro. You're
Yeah.
getting quoted.
Clip it. That's the protection against like doing it multiple times. So if you did it again, you would have to go through the normal procedure,
you
which
would
is
have
sit
the
out a
1 year
year,
wait, exactly.
sit out a year of competition. But the 1 year rule is still pretty nuts. I mean, you can just like, you know, go somewhere. That's I don't know if you guys have seen, but like everyone is making jokes that like they're now committing to LSU because LSU is just getting like a ton of players right now. Like people are entering the transfer portal and just like
Where are they going to
announcing-
LSU though?
because they're just like
They've got a
Good
ton
baseball
of
team.
good
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But I meant like versus like other good baseball teams.
early in I think there was just like a handful of
Okay.
like really, really good dudes that were
Yeah.
in the transfer portal from other like Power 5 schools, and now they're at LSU. Softball is crazy too. Like Oklahoma loses 4 or 5, 6 games, whatever it was this year, and then they immediately, as the season ends, they get like the Big 12 or Big 10 pitcher of the year from somewhere. They get like Arizona State's starting second baseman or something. It's just wild. Yeah, it's wild.
Forks up.
Forks up. I mean, that'd be a forks down. They lost their starting second baseman.
That's true.
So wild.
But baseball analytics wise, like what's been your experience working with the Penn State team? Like, what have you learned from that? What kind of
ton.
perspective has that given you?
I've
Like,
learned a ton. So the biggest thing is I grew up in a house around baseball players. So I quit at the age of 12 for the good of the game. I wasn't good at all.
Fell on that sword.
Yeah, but my dad played at Purdue. He was a catcher, and my brother, ironically enough, is a catcher committed to Ohio State, or he actually just got on campus. I'd always been a proud Nittany Lion, so them talking crap about Penn State baseball was how I got involved with the program. But being with the program, I've learned a ton just about how baseball players like actually think. I've always thought about it more like a theoretical lens and looking at like the data and like that kind of thing. But seeing just what it takes like on a day-to-day basis, just being around players like at practice. Sometimes you may have a practice that starts at 7 a.m. and I have to be there too, and I'm not on the team, but there's still some responsibility. So there's been a ton. A lot of it has just been understanding what teams value. I guess as an outsider, you maybe don't understand like just how much teams value like pitch movement or deception or like all kinds of other things. But getting a sense for what matters is just really the big thing.
Oh yeah. Well, some people, I'm sure there's still a lot of teams that are like thinking incorrectly about what does matter.
Yeah.
Like you can
No,
just,
of course.
I think the best way to evaluate a program for what they like truly care about is just like look at a week's worth of practice plans.
Mm-hmm.
If you're just doing first and thirds and pickoffs, yeah, I like, if you're spending the majority of your pitcher's development time on like defensive characteristics or things like that, like that right there tells me a lot that you're behind the field right now.
If you're analyst and code in MongoDB, you're behind. There's another
I
giveaway.
mean, if you have an analyst, you are ahead of the field.
How big is your team of analysts?
So we have a group of about 10, but we're looking to expand for next year. And actually, that's part of my job is I'll be the director of analytics when I get
Recruit
back
some
this
people,
fall.
Let's
dog.
go,
Tell
baby.
us what you're looking
Let's
for.
Yeah, so if anyone
You guys need a
understands
biomechanist?
anything about Python, R, SQL, MongoDB, anything about machine learning, please reach out.
And
And you go to Penn State.
to the bar, higher, the bar a little bit higher.
Okay.
After you reach out to Caravan, then reach out.
I'll push some people. I'll push some people your way.
Yeah. I don't even know if they got to be Penn State students, but
Yeah.
So.
Just enter the transfer portal. Transfer over to Penn
For-
State. Yeah. That's what you need. You need to develop a transfer portal for analysts.
college
Bounce
analysts,
around,
Yeah.
Steal a couple people from Wake Forest. Take some people from North Carolina.
We talked a little bit
Iowa.
about it in the past. Is there a good like existing community like place for college analysts? So I feel like there's a few schools that have really big like analyst teams.
Yeah.
I know we
Twitter.com.
tried. Yeah, outside of Twitter.
My 64 person bracket.
Yeah, that
That's
like,
Slack
we tried the
channel.
Slack.
Yeah, I
Slack
think
works
people do have
basically.
Slack channels, right? I mean, that's
one
what
you made.
I've heard. Yeah, but I mean, I honestly don't know if that's popping or not. I mean, I'm very sure it's
We need,
not.
to check
but
we need to check the analytics
I've
on it.
only clicked on it
Messages
accidentally.
sent.
I've only clicked on it accidentally when I'm trying to go to Chibolote Marine Slack. But yeah. Do
I'm
you
not
guys
too
have a hub?
familiar with like hubs for where college analysts connect. I do know some other programs that do some good things, like you mentioned, Wake Forest, UNC, Iowa does a pretty good job
Yeah,
too,
yeah.
and that's someone we're thinking about a lot. So I'm not.
Gonna poach some of their people.
If I could poach anyone, I'd poach Bornstein.
Oh,
But he's
wow.
no longer there.
Yeah, he's gone.
Shout out Sam if
Us
you're watching
too.
this.
Yeah,
You
more
better
if you still have eligibility, bro. Alfredo wants you.
I think I still technically have a year.
Yeah, if you want to grad transfer to Penn State, man, just hit me up.
But all right, curveball. Even though we said like keep it kind of PG. But yeah, what's been the most surprising thing so far? Being at Driveline, kicking it with us, in person.
What has been surprising? Shoot, that's a toughie. I'm gonna need a minute to think about it because there's a lot. But
You just start spitting them
a lo-
out.
well,
the PG
a lot of-
ones at least.
PG ones.
We can wrap
well,
PG-13.
Yeah,
Throw an
that's true.
explicit tag on this.
what's
yeah.
been most surprising is I guess just how much jank stuff there is. Is the way to describe it.
Nice.
So
I love that
you-
answer so much.
So a lot of like what you learn in school and everything is like super theoretical, but you get to the real world and you realize just how messy things
Yeah,
are.
There's
it just has to
blockers,
work.
there's
It just has
bottlenecks.
to work.
Yeah, it just gotta work.
Yeah.
And then if it breaks, then you'll just come up with an even more jank.
Patch it up.
solution. Yeah, exactly. So,
100%.
Data science internship
That's
right there,
hilarious.
baby.
I honestly
I
love
love
that,
that.
answer so
That's
much, man.
hilarious.
So
Keep
much.
up, come up with an even more jank solution.
Yeah, just like find a
true.
way, dude.
Yeah.
Patch it up, yeah. No, that's what I was telling Alfredo too. Just like one of the things. Well, we were talking about, yeah, because he's looking for analysts, and he was asking me like some advice or like how I look at potential applicants, and I was telling him how like I've talked about this before on the pod. Like most applications, I can kind of like look through and in 45 seconds like tell if it's like worth looking into more or just no.
Yeah.
And the most important thing, really, in experience is like being able to apply skills, because especially for like a startup like Driveline, like we don't have teams of people working on like one feature or like one product. There's current projects going on, and the most valuable thing you can do is hop on a project and like help come up with solutions to like improve it, to gain insights from it, to kind of patch up a pipeline.
Yeah, super common for people to try to come off like really polished and like or like have high technical skill on like interviews and stuff, like talking to them. And I as well try to look for like, some sort of info that says like you've been in an oh shit situation where you had to like troubleshoot something and figure it out, because that's how it is here. It's not like you've got a trimester for this assignment and have to dot all your I's and cross all your T's and do it. It's like, we need this, we just got to have this thing done.
Yeah.
By any means necessary. Even jank means. It's actually especially jank means. For sure.
Rebrand as the core values to the Driveline data science department. Gotta have that jank in you.
Yeah, gritty, not pretty. 100%.
But okay, sweet.
That's a good handling of the curveball.
Yeah.
Way to handle that curveball.
Thanks for coming on, Alfredo.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Appreciate it, guys.
Calling John too when you bounce back. Yeah,
Absolutely. Thank
Sweet.
you, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
thanks.
Meet the Interns number 4 coming up.
Yeah.
I got to pee.
I got to dip 11 minutes into this.
Okay, that's fine. We'll hold it down. Man, I could have gone a couple ways with that answer too. I've really exposed.
I'm glad he didn't.
I've really exposed Alfredo.
I thought
My
it was
lifestyle
good.
just driving
Thought it
him
was
around.
really fucking good.
Very, very glad he didn't. So, for everyone listening, how are you doing? It's been a while. Haven't
Dude, how much caffeine
Haven't
have you?
seen,
How much caffeine
talked
have you
to,
had today? To be honest with me.
one cup of coffee.
Oh, really? Only one cup of coffee?
Yeah.
Which is on? Have you been steadily
Just
doing one cup
moving.
of coffee?
Mhm.
Okay, because you told me you were trying to cut it down.
Oh, have I? I thought you meant like
Steadily,
today.
steadily,
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think I've gone over. Some days I've had like 2, but usually I've just been going 1.
All right,
Honestly,
just
it helps that
natural energy.
the Keurig here in the kitchen is just trash.
Yeah.
It needs to be cleaned out or something.
The poop coffee, as Lindley calls
It's-
it, in
yeah.
outtakes. But anyways, 4th intern, Sean. What's
Let's
up, man?
go.
What's up?
What's going on, Sean?
Doing good.
Yeah, you want to give us a quick intro for the listeners? I mean, I know you're a big shot, like we were talking. You have commentated on a couple pro games, but if anyone out there doesn't know who you are, what do you got for them?
Yeah, so my name is Jean, and I'm from Taiwan. I currently go to school at NYU in the data science master's program. And yeah, here for the summer doing this R&D data science internship.
But,
How's it going so far?
It's been really great. I really enjoyed it here. At least
Is this
in
not?
the-
This is an authentic answer. You're not just saying that because
Yeah,
Caravan's
yeah,
saying
Hey,
next to you?
I'm handing him dollars.
Yeah.
on the table.
Caravan has a gun under the table.
I mean, that's why I took him out to lunch. I took him out to
Yeah.
lunch a couple hours before this to butter him up.
Yeah, all the projects I've been working on have been really fun.
Yeah.
You do want to talk about your SABR background and commentating background too, because I think both those are pretty interesting. And
Yeah, sure. So obviously growing up, since I'm from Taiwan, watched baseball, played a little bit of baseball, basically like playing catch with my dad. Actually really got into playing organized baseball when I lived in Vienna in Austria
Oh, wow.
around middle school. And then when I moved back to Taiwan for high school, I wanted to keep playing. My high school didn't have a team, so I founded the baseball team at my school. During the high school period was also when I started transitioning from like an old school baseball fan to like sabermetrics and stuff.
Mhm.
Joined a few Facebook groups and made some friends there that talked sabermetrics, and slowly shifted towards this landscape. And then once I got to college, our school actually participated in the Diamond Dollars case competition every
Oh, nice.
semester. So I was able to join the team spring semester of freshman year, and sort of just kept going from there.
what is Diamond Dollars for people that might not know?
So Diamond Dollars actually hosted by Vince Gennaro, the former president of SABR.
Mhm.
Basically, we have teams of 4 or 5 students from different schools, and every time we're given a particular case, that's like kind of baseball ops ish kind of question that we have to answer using data analysis. So far I've actually participated in it 8 times already,
Oh wow.
which I think might be a record. Might have to check with Vince.
Got a record, world
But
record holder.
yeah, so that kind of really pushed me forward to doing more advanced analytics things in baseball and some
And probably applied
research
stuff
and things
too.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Do you
Okay.
remember? Do you remember your first personal SABR project, or favorite one?
Like individual research.
Yeah.
So a few years ago, I actually wrote a piece on Fangraph's community blog. It was back when MLB sort of announced that they're testing these different rules at the Atlantic League. One of them was stealing first base. So instead of only having drop third strike, now you can do that on every pitch. So I sort of did a little project looking at if I use MLB data to sort of figure out a way to examine this, how would it turn out? And basically the way I looked at it was, because obviously in MLB there's only drop third strikes, so I can only look at drop third strikes. But looking at how the batter's sprint speed correlated with whether or not they could reach base on a drop third strike.
Mm-hmm.
And there was essentially no correlation at all. Doesn't matter
wow.
how fast you run.
Yeah.
Essentially, it's more about how far the ball got
Yeah.
away.
How
right?
wild the pitch
Got
is.
it.
Yeah. Or how bad the bounce is on a pass ball.
So it would have to be a pass ball. I didn't know about this rule change. It would have to be a pass ball for you to be able to take
the
off.
catcher has to catch the ball in flight. Otherwise, everything that's not caught in flight, the batter can choose to run for first base
Yeah.
instead of continuing the plate appearance.
Yeah. So like on a wild pitch, just a normal wild pitch. If it was like
it could be like the
0-0
first
count,
pitch of
Yeah.
the at bat.
0-0 count, they
guns it.
zoo it to the backstop.
I
You
had
could
these-
just take off running and try to steal first.
I had a crazy vision in my head where like the pitchers would have to worry about their time to the plate because you could
Yeah.
just like once they started their motion they could just like take off for first and you had to throw it home. So then it's like the catcher and the first baseman got to connect to get him out.
Dude, that type of rule set would be terrible for 2019 Driveline trainees. Like, I mean, even some now, honestly.
Why?
I mean,
Just pitchers.
Oh,
It would just
dude,
every batter would get
yeah.
on base.
Yeah, it's just
People-
like automatically first fastball halfway up the backstop.
loaded
First.
of bases from like first pitch,
Yeah.
wild pitches.
Yeah, it would not be great.
Wait, so what ended up being the conclusion in that piece?
I mean, basically that.
Just no correlation
Yeah,
between
speed
sprint
doesn't
speed
have
and
much
Yeah.
to do with that. So
Yeah.
it's not like it would
Yeah.
help Billy
Yeah.
Hamilton a whole lot compared to
it would
like,
hurt pitchers that are especially
Yeah.
wild
Yeah.
more.
Yeah.
That-
Yeah.
That's actually probably could scope like who has just
Yeah.
egregious wild pitches or like pass balls that aren't even close.
What's interesting is by studying only drop third strikes, one of the readers actually pointed out in comments that drop third strikes usually only happen on really wild pitches
Yeah.
and not like close, or in the dirt intentionally, things like that. So maybe the selection of the pitches is a bit biased, but
Yeah.
you know, I'm not sure how they're doing it so far in the Atlantic League or wherever they're testing it, but I think it's pretty
I still think that's an underutilized just like tactic that you could do in the game currently. There was a guy that used to play for the Studs who would always do that in
What?
2 strike counts.
This
He would
just get ready to-
intentionally like swing and run on a ball like on a ball that's like pitched that's like well out of the zone that the catcher just clearly misses and he knows that it's like going to go far enough. Like he'll just swing, take the strike out and like run.
I mean, that's impressive.
Does he
making
do that while the
Yeah,
pitch is
dude.
coming or after he sees the catcher?
I mean,
after
yeah,
he
it's
sees it
like
gets away?
like he'll do like a late swing as he sees that they're gonna miss
Right.
it, and then if someone's gonna come out and argue they're like it wasn't a real swing, then fine. But he would at least try for it,
Yeah.
I still think it's like an underutilized.
Yeah. What
like,
kind of
you could-
success?
That's
What kind of
crazy.
success did he have?
Oh, almost always.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just because
You would get it first?
You would do it on a pitch that you
Or get
know is
close.
like gonna
Yeah.
go to the backstop.
And
Yeah.
that's like sacrificing your own stats for the team.
100%,
because you
yeah.
just take the strikeout.
Yeah, and it wouldn't hurt, or it would count against like all the others too, right? Because
Yeah,
like drop
even
third
your on
strike.
base goes down even
Yeah.
though you reached.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate selfless team guy move.
Yeah.
But there's so many situations where it does happen because like we'll jokingly yell it from the bench in 2 strike counts when like a guy just throws a curveball that's like 40 feet, bounces over the catcher's head. We'll just yell like swing and run. You could do that.
I want to see. Yeah, I want to
situations.
see this happen in person.
How many times did the other team call him out?
I've never seen anyone
They're like
make
too
a big deal
embarrassed.
about
They're like,
it.
dude,
Yeah.
don't even call it out. Like that pitch was so wild. That's fine.
Yeah.
Take second too.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't know technically when, like, how late could you swing for it to be considered?
I mean, I
There's
think
probably something in the
so.
rule book.
balls right in
The,
the
the problem is baseball hasn't really defined what to swing.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
the big
Yeah.
issue that comes up when people are debating check swings because it's not defined. You can't just say this is or isn't a swing because
Yeah.
it's not in the rule books. So
Oh, I didn't
it's
know
hard to say.
that. I just assumed because a lot of people just talk about like the whatever 90 degrees from.
Some people say like breaking your wrist or like crossing the front of the plate, but it's literally just not a rule.
Damn, that's why
I feel like that tactic, especially, I mean, it would not be good for development, but I think you could run away with some like youth baseball tournaments if you like leaned into that seriously.
Bring
Goes
back
against
small
everything.
ball.
Goes against everything. Devin
yeah.
Morgan Academy is preaching.
100%. It's just like completely selling out to try to win. But like
Tomorrow we see a bunch of kids just
feel like
fucking
it could be
hacking
good.
like
Yeah.
way outside their phone and sprinting.
just
The
no,
machine's throwing like 50-foot
The
curveballs.
machine's like beaning them.
Yeah. So tight though. I feel like it. I don't know. I think it could be like a legit strategy, unless there is something in the rule book that says you have to swing by this time. Like, I think I've seen guys like jokingly do it in the bigs. Like I feel like I've seen videos somewhere of someone like, if someone throws a pitch to the backstop and some guy like jokingly swings and like fakes like he's gonna run.
I know there was. I think there was a play a few years ago in the minor leagues where it was like a 50-footer, and then the hitter kind of just jokingly like went like this with one-handed swing,
Yeah.
and then the umpire called a swing.
Oh yeah. So I mean, if that can happen, like,
Dude,
Like
this
it
is
was
tight.
just like a practice motion or whatever, but
Yeah.
the umpire called a strike.
yeah,
That's epic.
yeah.
I was gonna say, do you want to talk about your commentating career too?
Yeah,
So I think I think
um,
it's a good story.
Back in 2020 when COVID happened and most leagues around the world weren't playing, the CPBL in Taiwan was the only pro league that was playing baseball at that time. So some of the networks actually came up with the idea to do English broadcasting for fans around the world to watch some CPBL baseball. At first, I wasn't part of the broadcasting. I was in charge of running the Twitter for one of the teams, the Fubon Guardians. And then later on, I got to get in a booth and do some commentary, and it was pretty fun.
Yeah, how him and CPBL's #1 fan, podcast guest
Oh,
Alfred
yeah.
Mitchell, it
Yeah.
like started talking and got to know each other.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, when she knew that I was applying for the internship, she was like, "I definitely have to get you here."
That's awesome. That's
That
awesome.
is great. Have you ever considered doing broadcasting, or would you ever consider doing broadcasting as a career?
So before that, I've never really considered it because I don't know. My parents always complained that I don't speak clear enough. But after having done it, I think it's pretty fun.
Yeah.
So it'll be an option, but I think right now I'm more focused towards like sabermetrics and things like that.
It's also cool because they're kind of intercepting now, if
Yeah.
not now, sometime in the future, right? With like advanced broadcasts.
Yeah, they got
and,
like Petriello doing the Statcast
Yeah.
broadcast. I don't know how often. Do you know how often he does that? I feel
Well,
like
they
it's
discontinued the Statcast
They did?
broadcast
Okay.
this year.
Yeah.
They replaced it with the K-Rod.
That's right. I just remember there was something. That's why I looked to you. I was like, it was Jean's fucking nails on just MLB updates, random baseball trivia. I was like, yeah, they still doing that? Nope.
Yeah, those were really fun. But the sad thing was, it was on ESPN2, and
Yeah.
for the few years they were doing it, I was mostly not in the U.S. and there's no way to watch it when you're outside the U.S.
Oh,
Yeah.
damn.
Oh, that's
So you
Do
can
you-
pirate it, but I didn't really want to do it.
yeah.
Do you think there's a market for that? Advanced
For-
sabermetric broadcast?
I mean, I think so. Maybe not as an alternate, but just eventually it's going to blend more and more towards
Got
that.
it. So the
direction,
current
right?
ones are just going to change that way as opposed to having like two separate ones.
Yeah,
that people
and
can
even if
choose
you
from.
look at specific regional networks, some are far more advanced, like the Astros,
Yeah.
even the Mariners right here. They incorporated a lot of that. Some teams I've seen, like, they're still like batting average, RBI,
Yeah.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
I think it's just early across all sports too, even hockey too. Because I have seen.
Baseball has to be at the forefront, though, right?
I would
think-
think, but I think hockey has some like.
We were talking about this yesterday because I don't know if
Really?
you've seen hockey games recently, but Vic was talking about how like now they'll light up players'
Yeah.
names and like light up the puck and stuff too for,
Yeah.
for viewer experiences and have like
yeah.
stats about like how many miles they've skated and
Yeah.
all this stuff. Basketball is actually pretty interesting too because they got sport vision cameras.
I was gonna say I think
And-
basketball's doing a better
Yeah.
job. It seems like
Or what about golf? Because
they'll-
golf
they'll
has been
show.
doing like at least launch
Golf
monitors.
is
launch
more
monitor
pro.
stuff. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I've definitely seen some stuff in hockey, like what you're talking about. Even in the Stanley Cup playoffs, they would have like on-screen visuals of like ice time,
Yeah.
total mileage, like some like advanced workload stuff. So
Baseball should be the forefront, but I honestly still think there's so many old school like gatekeepers.
I think,
as
yeah,
well on the-
too
on the
casual
broadcast
of a
stuff.
viewing
Yeah.
population.
It's
right
a
now.
wide variety. It's a wide variety of baseball fans.
Yeah.
Like
I
maybe
find.
baseball just faces more like old school
Yeah.
backlash compared to other sports, even
Yeah,
though on
yeah.
the actual analytical front, it's kind
Yeah.
of leading.
Yeah, I think
And
that's
it's been- yeah.
pretty
Yeah.
spot on. Honestly, I think as more and more of the information that's readily available is like put in front of people, it'll be one of those things where like if you watch a game now and they don't have velocity in the feed, you're just like, what the hell are they doing?
Yeah.
You know, like
Even at the park, when I'll look
Yeah.
around for
Yeah.
video.
yeah. And so I think the same
I got
thing is
nothing
gonna
on the- There's no velo.
the same thing is gonna start to happen with like exit velo, launch
Yeah.
angle, spray angle, all that stuff. It's like if you just like start to drip that in more and more to where it's like they expect it, you're gonna be watching a game, and after someone hits a home run, if they don't show the distance in EV, you're just gonna be like, what are they doing? Like, I
Yeah.
want to know what that was, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, I haven't been to a Yankee game in a while now, but I remember going in the past, they would show EV for home batted balls, but not away
Oh,
team
really?
batted balls.
That's awesome.
Very,
That's pretty awesome. Wow. What a tidbit. Good fire. Okay, I gotta go.
Yeah,
Gotta go.
we got to wrap this up. We're
Gonna wrap it up as
yeah,
one?
Wrap it up, yeah.
Dude, thanks for
good shit,
coming
baby.
on.
Yeah, thanks for
That was
coming.
fire,
And,
Thank
yeah,
you.
I was gonna make a joke like they'll keep progressing as Jean keeps spelling out Diamond Dollar appearances.
Oh, yeah.
By the time he's got a baker's dozen,
Yeah.
the Analysts broadcast will be pumping. But yeah, good to have you on, man.
Thank you.
Meet the
Yeah.
Interns 2022.
Episode 88.
Yeah, that's a wrap.
Come
Thanks,
subscribe.
guys. Peace.
See you, everybody.
Peace.
We'll